Hey YouTubers, this is the Irish Scrapper and tonight I'm attempting to make my first YouTube tutorial. I've decided to start with an easy project suitable for crafters of all levels. I'm going to do a demo on the 2468 box. Here you can see a list of the materials required to complete the project. The 2468 box is a very versatile project, but for the purpose of tonight's tutorial, I will demonstrate how to make it as a Favour box. Firstly, you will need a piece of paper that's cut by 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. You score the paper at 2, 4, 6 and 8. And it's cardstock, not paper. You turn it on its side and then you make your final score at 2 inches. When you've completed your scoring, you'll pick it up, and to the right hand side you'll see there's a little tab that's not required. So cut away this tab by cutting up to the horizontal score line and then the vertical score line, and take this little piece away because that would get in our way when we're trying to assemble the box. The next step is to cut up on each score line to the horizontal score that was made at 2 inches. These 4 panels will now form the bottom of the box. Our next step is to fold the score lines on the bottom and burnish them with the bone folder. This will ensure that we have a nice crisp fold for our box, to our box. Do this on all 4 panels. When you've finished burnishing the 4 panels, open them all back and follow the same process with the remaining score lines, ensuring that you take time to make sure everything is square, and this will ensure we have a nice even shaped box. Now when you have all the score lines burnished, there's a tab at the end. You'll fold that in, it's 1/4 of an inch, and this will help to join the box together. Because the Favour box will be handled quite a bit, it's essential to put some kind of good adhesive on. My choice is score tape. So I'm using 1/4 inch score tape and I apply it to the 1/4 inch tab at the end of the box. Remove the top of the score tape to expose the sticky underneath. Then take your time and line up both sides of the box together, pressing down firmly to ensure there's good contact. Now we'll proceed to fold in the 4 tabs, well 3 of the 4 tabs, and on the final one I'm going to put 2 pieces of score tape, taking your time to make sure that you place them properly, as these will secure the bottom of the box. Here now I'm just tidying up a piece of overhanging score tape before removing the film on the top. Bend this panel over and rub it firmly with your fingers to make sure there's good contact. Now as you can see, this has formed the box, but to turn it into a Favour box, what we do is we pinch in the sides, squeezing it firmly at the top. Now when you're happy that you have your triangular shape, you can put that piece of the project aside and we'll start our next part of the project. For the next part of the project we'll need the Big Shot machine. What we do here is we take a piece of paper that has been cut at 2 inches by 3.5, as you can see from the measurements here, and we place this piece of cardstock into an embossing folder. The embossing folder will give a nice raised effect on the piece of cardstock and make the bride's dress look really nice. The Big Shot comes with instructions, so you place your embossing folder down on the correct tab, taking the 2 platform pieces, putting them on top of the embossing folder, pushing the whole thing through and cranking the handle until the entire embossing folder has gone through the Big Shot, and bring it back out. When you open the embossing folder, you will see that there's a nice deep impression on the cardstock. Here. Now we want to attach this piece of cardstock to the front of the Favour box to give the bride a dress. Again, my choice here is the score tape. It requires 4 pieces of score tape, and what I can tell you about score tape is it's very, very strong, so you need to be sure that when you're actually making contact with the box that you've lined it up correctly, because score tape is very unforgiving, and should you need to remove the panel from the box, it's very difficult to do it without actually ruining the cardstock underneath. My advice here is to place your score tape down and rub it firmly before removing the top film. When you've removed all the score tape, take your time to line it up on the front panel of the Favour box, pressing down firmly to ensure good contact. Now the next thing we need to do is to squeeze it together and to form 2 slits at either side, going through all pieces of card. Try to get them even, and these slits will be used to hold the ribbon in place. Now I use a bulldog clip to hold the box together, and this actually gives you a little bit of freedom to be able to maneuver your piece of ribbon into the slits. Now this can be tricky, so you need to have patience and take your time. You don't necessarily have to have a Big Shot to make this project. You can use a piece of lace or a piece of pattern paper to adhere to the front of the bride's dress. You also don't require any of the other pieces of equipment, as you can use a ruler and a pen that's run out of ink, or the back of the scissors, to do the scoring. So anybody can make this particular box. All you really need to have is your cardstock, a piece of ribbon, your adhesive, a scissors, and not even a bull clip. You can use a paper clip to hold the box together while you're putting your ribbon on. These pieces of equipment we gather over the years, and they really aren't essential for beginners. So I can assure you this box can be made without using any of the equipment I've used this evening. When you have your ribbon in place, cut your ribbons at an angle, remove the bull clip, fiddle about until the ribbon sits the way you'd like it to sit. It is a little fiddly, but as you can see, it's turned out fine in the end. So this is our bride looking very gracious. We'll now take a look at how the groom was made. Using the very same dimensions, 8¼ by 5½, I've scored a 2, 4, 6, 8, and then I've scored a 2 along one of the sides. As before with the bride, I'm removing the little tab that's 1/4 inch by 2 inches, taking that away, and then as you will see, I'm following exactly the same procedure as I did with the bride. I'll let you watch this, and when it comes to the part where the groom shows a difference to the bride, I'll talk you through that. Now this is where it's different from the bride. What we need to do here is cut about 1 inch down into the front panel with your scissors. When you have the inch cut, you fold out to form the lapel of the groom's tuxedo, as shown. Now I like to actually adhere the lapels to the box to keep them from sticking up. So again, I'm just using a tiny little bit of score tape, put it behind the lapel and stick it down. And the same then on the other side. Now what we do is we cut a piece of white cardstock 2 inches by 2 inches, and we apply score tape to either side of the piece, removing the top, opening up the box and putting the 2-inch panel in behind the front panel, and this gives us the shirt. Secure it by pressing firmly. So now our tuxedo has the shirt. The next thing we do is we need to put 2 holes. Oh no, what we're doing here is we're putting in the buttons of the shirt with a black pen. Then we squeeze the box together, take our crocodile, and using the smaller size hole, punch a hole either side of the inside of the lapel. I'm trying to keep it as even as possible. Now at this stage you can use any kind of a ribbon to match the bride's rigout or whatever the bridesmaid's rigout. I've chosen here to use a polka dot black and white piece of ribbon. and I thread it through from the back on both sides. And once again, I'm using the grip to hold the Favour box together while I manipulate the bow tie. Making sure the polka dots are showing to the front, and trimming the ribbon at an angle. Removing the clip. Take your time, make sure the bow tie looks neat. And the appropriate size. And there we go. We have an absolutely gorgeous bride and groom.